Hey guys, what is up? It's Antonio. Welcome back to another episode here on Gladiator Disc Golf. Today we're talking about how to throw the Anhyzer shot. If you're brand new to my channel, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming and stopping by. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Remember to follow me on Instagram for hilarious reels and helpful posts. As we talk about the Anhyzer shot today, we're going to be looking at both the backhand and the forehand, because even though there are a lot of similarities between throwing them, there are some differences and nuances that you need to be aware of. For backhand Anhyzer, it's pretty simple. You need to first start with leaning back just a little bit. It's important that you lean back because if you're like me and you throw with a little bit of natural hyzer, you're going to end up not throwing Anhyzer. You'll probably just end up throwing flat. So you really want to make sure you're leaning back a little bit. And there's nothing wrong with this practice. We see pros doing it. This is how you throw Anhyzer. But it's still a really tricky shot. You don't see a lot of amateur players throwing Anhyzer angles purposefully not for max distance. Also, and this is kind of where the secret sauce comes in a little bit, you actually want to change the way you're holding it. Typically, you're going to put a disc between your index finger and ring finger, middle finger knuckle, and then you're going to have it rest basically right under the meat of your thumb. This helps you keep the nose down. You're going to keep your wrist to where you're pouring a cup of coffee. Things that we have talked about on this channel before. And this is just good practice for straight hyzer nose down shots. Everything about this, 50% of this you're going to keep. You want to keep that nose down. What I want to show you though, when you're actually throwing Anhyzer, if you slide the disc up just a little bit like this, you will actually have a more natural Anhyzer angle on the throw. Why is this important? If you hold the disc like this for your Anhyzer shots, you're not going to have to lean back super far when throwing Anhyzer angles. Now, if you're throwing some crazy steep rollers or you need a disc to get down to the ground for a roller, you're still going to lean back pretty far, but making this slight adjustment with your hand is actually going to limit how much strain you have to put on your back. And the third thing that you want to do is aim top left. We don't want to aim top right. We don't want to aim bottom left or bottom right. When we're throwing an Anhyzer, you aim top left. This is going to be your go-to spot, and this is where you need to be aiming the disc. This is not necessarily where you want the disc to land, but it's where you want the disc to break. When you pick a spot in the top left, you're allowing the disc time to naturally turn out of the Anhyzer that you're putting it on while settling back onto the line you want. Remember, Anhyzer means that the disc is going from left to right, and so it's important that you give a disc enough time to glide out of that. The reason you don't want to throw the disc too low is because it will turn into a roller, or if you didn't use the right angle for a roller, it's going to basically cut roll and you'll probably end up off the fairway. This is why backhand Anhyzers are so tricky. There's quite a few things that you need to consider. You need to consider your torso angle. You need to change the position in your hand and get used to that and get comfortable with that. And then you also need to learn where to aim up in the sky. Now let's figure out how to throw Anhyzer on forehands. If you've been following my channel for a while, you understand or you know that I am forehand dominant. I've been working on my backhand recently and I have some pretty awesome progress with that. But forehand is my specialty. Forehand's my go-to, something I was just naturally good at. And so I've been able to practice and work with forehand Anhyzers a lot and get super comfortable with them. And forehand Anhyzers, while they are something I'm more comfortable with versus backhand Anhyzers, they are equally tricky. You want to keep a lot of the same premises with your forehand Anhyzer the same as your backhand. Keep the nose down, all right? You want to do that for every shot unless you're trying to purposefully throw a stall shot. Keep that nose down. And the way I do this when throwing forehand Anhyzers is I actually take my non-throwing hand and push the nose of the disc down. I have found that when throwing forehand, it's a lot easier to throw nose up and not realize it than it is for backhand. And so with forehand, I just will typically almost robotically push the nose of my disc down to make sure I'm throwing it nose down. With backhand, I talked about changing the way you hold the disc in your hand. You do not do this for forehand shots. There is not enough room in your hand to change the way you hold it and to consistently, repeatedly do the same thing over and over. We're not talking here about just trying to get one great shot. We're trying to build a skill, to build a talent, and to be able to get really good at Anhyzer shots. So the best way to do that is to actually keep the disc like you would normally throw it. Instead of changing anything with your wrist or with your hand grip, you're going to change things with your elbow. If you've watched my forehand videos before, you understand that we change hyzer angles with our elbow. It's easier to do it that way, it's more controlled, and you can get consistent results. Just like hyzer, we do the same with anhyzer. While you're not going to be holding the disc all the way up to your shoulder, using your elbow will give you the proper angle time and time again. Remember with backhand anhyzer, we talked about aiming top left. Well, for forehand anhyzer, you want to aim top right. So if I'm throwing, I want to give the disc space out to the right, time to come down to the left. So for right hand forehand on anhyzer, the disc is going from right to left. So it's super important that you put the disc up high and to the right when throwing forehands so you give the disc a chance to come out of it. Now we're talking about anhyzer flights here where we want the disc to finish flat. And what that means is we're throwing stable to overstable discs that are going to fade out of it. If I was wanting to throw a roller or throw something that wasn't going to come back, I'd throw more understable discs on a little bit less anhyzer angle. And this goes back to the point I previously made. The best way to get good at anhyzer shots after you follow these tips is to practice. Okay, anhyzer shots are really tricky. There's no Mike's secret stuff to getting better at the anhyzer shot other than just practicing and getting familiar with your discs and how they react to these angles. And that's basically it, guys. When we're talking about throwing the anhyzer, the three main things that you want to focus on, whether it's backhand or forehand, is controlling the angle, controlling your grip, and aiming to the top left or right, depending on backhand or forehand, or left or righty players. So I hope you guys found this information super helpful. Let me know what you think. What are some other tips that you use to help you throw anhyzer shots? Do you feel comfortable throwing anhyzer shots? One thing I have found is that anhyzer shots are really useful in the woods. And if you're really trying to get max distance, there are a lot of players that will throw anhyzer shots with overstable discs to get a force flex out of it. So let me know in the comments below, what do you use anhyzer shots for? And I hope you guys found this helpful. Until next time, have a great round.